Good morning. Today is TipTop Tuesday, and it's September 11th. And I'm going to invite people. Global, important time. And Suze is here. Hi, Suze. Actually, today's topic is very serious. It's and Dara's here. Hi. Today's topic is I'm going to talk about suicide. The reason I'm going to talk about suicide is yesterday was global world awareness for suicide. And I don't think things are coincidental. It just happened that in the last 2 weeks, which is why I didn't have TipTop last week, I learned that two friends of mine, one was more of an acquaintance, had committed suicide. And my first reaction was quite shocked. They were both very bright, creative people, seemed to have a lot going for them, successful in their careers, and yet they're dead now. Why is that? And was there something that could have been done to help them not kill themselves? We all have known people that have killed themselves. Some of us know more than others. It's just I don't know. In Tacoma, when I grew up, there was a lot of people that I knew that committed suicide. And there was lots of different reasons for it. I know the first suicide I ever saw was my uncle by marriage. He had a terminal cancer that was going to be extremely painful. I can't remember what kind, if it was bone or brain, but regardless, he recognized that there was no cure. This was back probably in 63, 64. And he went around and he said goodbye to everybody, and he gave us some things just to let us know how important we were to him. And by that time, my aunt had died, and he shot himself. I wrote something. So I'm going to read that, and I'm going to put it on my blog later. Monday, September 10th is Suicide Global Awareness Day. It's timely for me because I just learned two people I know committed suicide. One was a dear friend from college, and the other was an acquaintance. Both were bright, creative souls and successful in their chosen fields. They seemed to have everything to celebrate life, and yet they chose to leave this earth's plane. Last week, I was mourning my loss and canceled my weekly Facebook Live TipTop. It was too painful. I needed time to process all those pesky feelings. Next, I did research. I read that 7 out of 10 suicides are white male. I will post some links at the end of this blog. It might be helpful to you. And I will at this one too. Some of you may know I worked with violent offenders in my early 30s. Homicidal feelings, when people leave, it's just sad. That's the way it goes. Hi, Penelope. Anyway, homicidal feelings and suicidal feelings are not on the opposite end of the spectrum. Rather, they are the active and receptive actions of the same feelings. I do not believe that these feelings are the same for each individual. Some are full of rage, some full of despair, some both. Some die by their own hand by an act of passion. Others die with a calculating plan of action. We make a big point of talking about the tragedy and make sure we stress no one is to blame, often including the person that kills themselves, citing emotional or physical imbalance or both. I marvel at the idea that no one is to blame. We are a society of shoulds, do better, guilt, and shame. Yet suicide gets a pass. I find that fascinating. Hi everybody. And why is it that suicide gets a pass? So I've been thinking about that. And I think it's because we don't want to blame society. What I'm thinking is going on, oh yeah, me too. What I'm thinking is going on is that we have lost our core. And what that I mean is that our essence, our soul, our divinity, our connection with spirit comes to us when we are children. And when we have that inner connectiveness, we know who we are. What I think happens is that knowingness can get robbed from people. And what I mean by that is we start telling people how they should be. A child will say, oh, I want to play outside and jump around. And somebody will say, no, 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 sit still. We have lots of examples. We all know things that we were so excited about and felt like this is who we were, and somebody told us it wasn't. I find it fascinating that in the statistical information that 7 out of 10 suicides are white males. That doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because I feel like in our society, even if the white males have all the power or whatever, they also have the responsibility of being the top dog. Other examples of people who look good on the outside, but inside they are pretending they feel like a fraud. And why do they feel like they're a fraud? Because they're not connected with their inner soul and their creativity. They're allowing society or parental or whatever to dictate what they believe in a way. The words aren't exactly right, but I think everybody knows what that is. We have a tremendous pressure in our society to conform to the concept of success. And we don't buy into it. We might lip surf it, but we don't buy into it. You know, if we bought into it, then we would have a lot more people that were a lot less depressed, now wouldn't we? Okay, we'd have a lot less people drinking. We'd have a lot less people doing drugs because they wouldn't need to alienate themselves from their culture or the society because they liked it, because they felt fulfilled. I think in some ways, you know, we've been talking a lot about sexual abuse, the Me Too movement. We've been talking about pedophiles. I think the next door that's got to be opened is the suicide door. I think it's not uncommon for people to have suicidal tendencies, especially if they're bright and creative people. I don't think it's unusual for people to get depressed because they don't feel like they can shine their light on the world. They feel like they have to kind of contain themselves. And that creates anger, creates feelings of, who am I? Yet we know who we are. It's like this really interesting scenario. It's like we're doing a dance with ourselves, because if we didn't know who we are, we wouldn't be upset. We wouldn't be depressed. So we do know our inner truth. We just don't let our light shine. That's one reason I raised my son in the central area, and I did, which maybe you guys don't know, that's the Black district in Seattle, or was. And I did that purposely because the Black culture recognizes emotions and recognizes that men have feelings. And I was very struck by growing up that white men were not allowed to cry when they struck out, or boys, that they were really restricted with the things they could be successful at or not. There's lots of harsh comparisons, and girls have that too, but it's different. I do feel that society, that white males do get a lot more privilege, but with that privilege comes a lot of negativity in terms of what they should be doing. lots of shoulds. Well, I don't know about you, but I keep thinking that should needs to become an archaic word, because should does not get things done. Should does not get things happy. So I know I'm not the only one that has contemplated suicide once, twice, 10 times, 15 times, who knows how many times. And they were for different reasons. Sometimes it was financial stress. Sometimes it was emotional stress. Sometimes it was just easier. It was just easier to stop living. However, I didn't. And I have to say, I have to admit, I didn't do it because of love for myself. That's taken years to develop. I did it because of my son, that I didn't think he could handle it if I ever killed myself. I did it because I didn't think my friends could handle it. But you see, the reason I didn't was all about outside issues. It wasn't saying to myself, well, the reason you are not doing this is because you love yourself. That's taken years, and I'm really glad that I'm there now. There's one other. Right now, I'm not, but I will post it later. And you guys, if you have any thoughts, this is live, so we could actually have a conversation. Hi, Steve. We were just talking about suicide and suicide awareness. I'm just finishing up. So, hi, Julie. So today, what I was talking about, and you can go back and read the live, was yesterday was Suicide Global Awareness Day, and I was just talking about. Thank you, Suze. You are too. I love you. I was just talking about suicide awareness and what that means, and that's kind of it. I've been on like 14 minutes, which is a long time, but I would encourage people to see the video, and I am writing a blog on it. I have more thoughts, but I will be putting those down on paper, and I will be giving some links for suicide prevention things to see. But in my heart, what I'd like to see is a change in society where we don't shoot our wounded and we don't make our wounded. We make our people with our shoulds and our guilt and our shame into wounded people. We take people that are loving, think like, oh my gosh, I am such a cool 2-year-old or 1-year-old, and turn them into shameful 6-year-olds or whatever. So I'm really encouraging people to truly honor this little light in them and let it make it shine. Oh, I know what I was starting to say. I raised my son in the Black district because the Black culture allows males to have emotions. And maybe I said that already. And that was really important to me, because I think it's important for people to have outlets for their feelings and not be shamed by them. And I feel like white males in our culture have just been decimated by the shaming of emotion. So not exactly a happy thing. Hi, Donald. And there's the Irishman. But anyway, I'm just finishing up. But it's on it's suicide awareness. I had a couple friends die recently. Anyway, so that's it. And I appreciate you being here. Take care. Bye.